So you've all seen it, a new pristine Overlander all ready to go off-roading without a speck of dirt on it. Today we're going to talk about why those vehicles don't have any dirt on them and they remain pristine. But warning, hold on, if you're the least bit sensitive, turn off this video now. So we've been doing nonsense like that to our Lexus GX 460 that you see behind me since we got it brand spanking new. The question then arises, why do you see so many Overlanders and off-road vehicles that are brand new and kitted out and modified to go off-roading, big tires, all this stuff all over it, and then it's not got a speck of dirt on it, let alone under it? The reality is, many people buy their vehicles with debt. And since they buy their vehicles with debt, two things happen. They tend to clean them and be afraid of them. They're afraid of their vehicles because they can't afford their vehicles. The term credit is a euphemism for debt, something you can't afford. And when people can't afford something, they are afraid of it, and then weirdly they clean it. Those are two bizarre things that you might not think have anything to do with anything. Why, when people get car loans, do they not use their cars and instead just clean them and then are afraid to actually drive them or use them or off-road them in the case of Overlanders? Why does that happen? And the answer lies in a perceived psychological guilt over who the true owner of the vehicle is. When they go out and buy that new off-roading vehicle with money they don't have on a budget that they can't afford, and they drive it off the dealer lot only having paid $1,000 on a vehicle that costs $90,000, they feel an immense sense of guilt deep down. And the last thing they're going to do is actually allow themselves to actually enjoy their vehicle off-road. So out come all the modifications, the lift, the light bars, the lockers, blah, 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 make it look all ready for adventure. And then simultaneously out comes the tire shine, the ceramic coating, the wash, rinse, wax, buff, because they know since they haven't paid the vehicle off yet and they don't actually own the vehicle in their minds, they feel an immense sense of guilt of actually taking it out off-road and actually enjoying it. Because, oh no, what happens if you get a scratch on it? I haven't paid it off yet, so I might as well just sit it and park it in the garage looking all pretty because I can't hurt it because it doesn't even belong to me yet. And since it doesn't belong to me yet, I'll instead prepare it for the future, for future use. So what they end up doing is washing and waxing and washing and waxing, washing and waxing month after month after month until the debt is finally paid off, and then in their minds are they allowed to then go out and enjoy it. You ever notice when people get around an exotic car or a supercar, check out their body language. If they can't afford the vehicle, they're actually going to be afraid of it. They're going to put their hands behind their back. Literally, they'll pull their hands behind their back. And it's like the exotic car has a force field around it, and they're going to tippy-toe around it because they can't afford it. They're afraid of it. That's the fear side of it. If they can't afford such a vehicle, they're going to hop right in like a kid and plop their butt in the seat and grab the steering wheel and yank it back and forth and try to imagine what it'd be like driving this car. When people can't afford something, and remember, credit, aka debt, is the societal euphemism for I can't afford it. If they can't afford it in that case, they're going to be afraid of it, afraid to damage it, afraid to do any sort of harm that's going to spoil it, if you will, before it truly belongs to them when their debt is finally repaid. In other words, when they've paid the car payment off. We've been asked over and over on this channel, why do you smash this car up all the time? And the answer is simple. We bought it without any debt. We paid cash for it. It's not a rare thing. When we went to Lexus, The biller at the end said something like 70% of Lexus buyers pay cash, 30% use, quote, financing. Another euphemism for I can't afford it. When we bought our Sienna with cash, Toyota said it's something like 40% of Toyota buyers pay cash instead of financing. Now, the point of this rambling is not to talk to you about, well, should you get a loan or should you pay cash, or anything to do with actual finances or anything like that. Rather, I'm focusing on the peculiar psychology, what I call the fear and cleaning dichotomy that surrounds people who buy vehicles with debt and how it affects their overall enjoyment of that vehicle. If you haven't caught on by now, people who buy things with credit, especially when we're talking about cars, generally don't use them. Back in the day, I had a friend and we both had motorcycles. I had an old 1984 Honda something bike, and he had a brand new early 2000s something bike. I paid cash with mine. It was paid for. He bought his on credit and it wasn't paid for. And every time I wanted to go and ride our motorcycle together, he would always have an excuse of why he was cleaning it and waxing it and why he couldn't go out and why he couldn't get it dirty on the highway or he might drop it and dent it and blah, blah, blah. And the amount of hours and miles that he put on that motorcycle compared to mine were polar opposites. His amount of time and enjoyment on that motorcycle paled in comparison to mine. He was forever afraid to actually enjoy his own motorcycle because he had not paid the thing off yet, and he felt a monumental level of guilt to actually go out and enjoy what was, quote, his. The irony, of course, was it wasn't really his. It belonged to the bank until he could pay off his motorcycle loan. And so when we talk of this whole spotless overland or spotless off-roader that you see without any dirt on it, it's because there's an immense feeling of guilt and they won't allow themselves to actually enjoy their own vehicle. Such people have a skewed perception when they see somebody actually enjoying their vehicle. So again, we get a lot of comments on this channel about how this Lexus is being abused. And so from their perspective, it is abuse. From my perspective, it is use. There's nothing bent on here. There's nothing broke. No matter how much you wish upon a star that something's going on with this Lexus GX 460, we have had a romping good time with it off-road since it's been brand new. This is an example of flash flooding in the Mojave Desert. You can see the water really doesn't have anywhere to go. There's no drainage systems out here. The thing has only got 25,000 miles on it and it's still under factory warranty, and we've had a blast with it. This is careful. Oh, there in the face. Ugh. Ugh. Oh! Didn't I just see his truck? Where'd it go? Oh, I forgot that! Uh-oh! You alright, Sammy? Oh! Uh-oh! Because that's why we bought it, to have a blast with it. Not to save it for its wedding day one day and walk it down the aisle. Pay its dowry to the second owner who can then use it. So the second or third or fourth user can use it off-road finally. You know what I'm talking about. We've all heard the stories. Nobody's going to off-road a $80,000 Lexus, $60,000 Toyota, $90,000 Jeep, blah, 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 blah. Nobody's going to do that until it gets from second, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, 10th owner. That's not true. We've already seen $100,000 vehicles out on the trail, whether they're Lexuses or Jeeps or Chevys or Fords, whatever. They're out there. People are using them and enjoying them. And the point here, again, is not to pass judgment on how you pay for your cars. Instead, It's to remind you that no matter how you have got your butt in the seat of whatever it is, whatever overland or off-road you're in, the point is to actually remember to use it. Remember why you bought the vehicle, about how you thought it would bring you enjoyment and fun and adventure and utility and function and all these things. Don't forget about that. Don't throw it out the window and spend your days and evenings and weekends and month after month, year after year, waxing it and getting it ready for its second or third or fourth or fifth husband. You're supposed to enjoy it here and now, because every new car, I don't care how new it is going to just be another beater out there on Craigslist with yellow headlights and a low-resolution, laggy ColecoVision screen, like what happens to all vehicles. So what in the devil are you saving it for? And the brutal truth is, you're saving it until you pay off that debt, because of that guilt that you feel. And I'm here to tell you to get rid of that guilt. It's okay, no matter how you paid for your vehicle. If you have possession of it, the best thing you can do is get out and enjoy it. Now, I'm not saying do anything stupid with it or crash it or do anything reckless or dangerous with it, but on the other end, looking at it, staring at it, dressing it up, polishing it, waxing it, clipping its nails, plucking its eyebrows, putting on its makeup, doing its hair, pedicure, manicure, spa day, getting it ready for its big audition for the big... What are we doing? Don't be afraid. Yes, we've established somewhat brutally in the beginning of this video that people are afraid of things that they can't afford. And so they'll fear enjoying them, and they'll weirdly or oddly clean them at the same time. And so the point of today's video is to resist that temptation. There might be some logic behind that, but it's mostly, that feeling is mostly guilt. And it's really sad and unfortunate because it's almost drug-like. It's almost like a drug addict, to where they feel such a sense of guilt over buying their vehicle on credit, so then they don't enjoy it, so then they clean it and wax it and polish it and keep making the payments. And by the time the payments are finally done, then their vehicle is old. Like we said earlier, it's got yellow headlights and a laggy screen, and then the new drug comes out, the new model of the new next generation. So then they have to have that. So then they buy that on credit, and then they're in the same boat again. They wax it and polish it, take it out to dinner. It's all coddled and babied for another X amount of years, and then it's paid off, and then, oh wait, it's old again. So you got to get the next thing. Vehicles are not assets, they are liabilities. This thing is getting used since day one, non-stop, because that's what it's for. It never ever will gain value. I could sit it in a sealed vacuum chamber forever, and it's still just another beater after 5,000 years from now. Nobody cares about it. Do you want to drive a Model T? No, you don't want to drive a Ford Model T in 2024 because it's an old piece of crap that nobody cares about. So if there's any takeaway from today's tough love, and it is just tough love, we're just having fun here, but this is a real deal channel and you know that. It's this: please, whatever you get, have fun with it. Don't be one of these people who buys a rugged off-road vehicle or a sports car or a motorcycle or a boat or an airplane and never actually uses it, and instead just sadly stares at it and has a subscription service through Amazon for cleaning supplies to keep it as mint as possible. As an old timer once said, make sure you don't have any fun with your girlfriend. You want her to be nice and pristine and good to go for her future boyfriend.